One of the biggest things that America is known for is the cowboy. Everything was owed, we feel in America is owed to the cowboy, but it's really owed to the miner that mined all of that out so the cowboy could have the life that he did. The cowboy wouldn't have that nice bridle and saddle because all of that was mined. The metal for the bridle came out of the ground. The oils that conditioned that saddle came out of the ground. And that's not saying the cowboy's any less important. The cowboy's just as important as that miner because that's what built America today. My name is Robert Davenport. I'm manager of the Good Enough Mine and Trolley Tours here in Tombstone. The Good Enough Mine is actually the first thing that was here. It's the most historical thing here. 520 miles of combined tunnel underneath Tombstone in the area here. It's pretty fascinating. They took out millions and millions of ounces of silver out of here. Matter of fact, your Morgan silver dollars, 1880 to 1882, that were minted in New Orleans, basically came out of Tombstone. It was a major feat to even mine here to begin with. It all started with Ed Shefflin, who wanted to be a prospector since he was a little bitty kid, and he ended up in the Arizona Territory with the Buffalo Soldiers here and the Indian Scouts, and ended up staying out here by himself for 8 months just prospecting. Finally found something that looked interesting, so it took him a year to track his brother down. Finally got it to his brother looked at it and laughed at him. But another man by the name of Richard Gerd was the one that really realized what it was. It was very high-grade silver. They started mining, they got down to the 6-foot level and lost it. There was no more silver. Richard Gerd and Albert were very upset, but not Ed. Ed is in Miners Hall of Fame, known as the positive prospector. He said, "Don't worry, I'll find more," and he did. And he found a whole load more. Matter of fact, when he found the silver at the Good Enough mine, they assayed it and it came back at $1,800 to the ton. And Ed said, "That's good enough for me." That's how he named it the Good Enough Mine. It was more than good enough. It basically changed the whole dynamics of the western United States because of the amount of silver that was found here. Tombstone got its name from Ed Shefflin. When Ed was out here with the Indian Scouts, he was going to break away from them. They said, "Ed, you don't want to do that. This is hostile territory." But this was also ground zero for the Apache Wars. And Geronimo was still loose out here. And they told Ed the only stone he was ever going to find was his own tombstone. And Ed, having a great sense of humor, ended up naming his first claim the Tombstone claim. Then he had the Graveyard 1, Graveyard 2 claims, but they never panned out. Then that's where he found the Good Enough Mine. Along with the Good Enough Mine, right after that he found the Lucky Cuss Mine. His brother told him, "Boy, look at that, you just stepped on more silver, you lucky cuss." And that's how he named the Lucky Cuss Mine. His brother said, "Boy, if we ever found another one, it'd be a tough nut to crack." And the Tough Nut Mine is where I have the only dinner theater in a mine in the world. And that's 100 feet underground. We take you down through a whole mine tour. Take you through 3/4 of a mile of tunnels, explain the geology to you, show you the green and purple fluorite crystals, the black calcite, show you how they fluoresce. Then we go down a real short ladder and you're in a room longer than a football field. Down there, we take you back to the 1800s. You sit on a replica dynamite crate Your tables are powder kegs, the tabletops of the old boardwalk in Tombstone. And your food is a miner's meal. You don't get a choice of food. You get chili, cornbread and cobbler, coffee or water, and that's delivered from 100 feet up above in an ore bucket, clear down to you. And while you're eating your food, we give you a full historical show. And we're very adamant about true history. On one stage is George Parsons, who was a miner here in the 1800s, learned to do the mining here. He started off as a banker in San Francisco. And on the other stage is Clara Brown, who is a female journalist for the San Diego Tribune and a contributor out of Tombstone in the 1800s. And the dialogue for that show comes directly from their diaries and their writings. So it's the true history of Tombstone. The whole area that we have, we try to get back to the roots of what Tombstone really was, bring out the true history and show what it was really about. And of course we have the gunfights and things like that, but that was just a matter of minutes, literally, if that. And ours is what built everything over 20 years. It was major. This mine that we take you into on our daily tours was all done by hand and candlelight, with a 4-pound sledge, a drill steel, and candles. If you can imagine that. And each miner received 3 candles. Each candle only lasts 2 hours for a 10-hour shift. Do the math. It was rough. And that's what made Tombstone. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the mining.
I had no idea visiting Bisbee, Arizona could be so much fun. All the shops and galleries on Main Street are so amazing. And the mine tour? Bring a jacket. The famous staircases, the hidden murals, there's so much to do. And then the tasty restaurants, historical hotels, and B&Bs are so cute. There's so much to see. Come and discover Bisbee.
Roads to Adventure, and we're on US 80 in southeastern Arizona. On this road trip series, we'll visit Benson, which was originally founded in June of 1880 as a railroad town. Prior to the train, the Butterfield Stagecoach line was the area's mode of transportation, and today you'll find over 1,500 RV sites located right off I-10 about 32 miles east of Tucson.
To be a miner back then, when I did the Tough Nut Dinner Theater, I built a lot of it the same way they did it back in the 1800s, just to see what it was really like. It was rough. You imagine given 3 candles made out of animal fat. The wicks that they used back then were about 1/3 the diameter ours are today, so it was about 1/4 less light than what a regular candle puts out. They didn't have the shoes that we have. They had old shoes that had like the leather from a saddle that was nailed to the shoe. It wasn't a nice boot like most people think that they had. They used shoes. They had, of course, they used black jeans pretty much that were held with suspenders. They normally wore a black t-shirt and a black flappy hat like this. When this mine was mined, that was before the hard hat was invented and before the carbide lantern was invented. So what they would do is they would drip wax on their hats to try to soften the blow of the rock hitting them in the head, because you still have small rock hit you in the head. And that's why we wear helmets at times, in some of the areas. we've got to make sure that everything's safe. They had a very rough time. They're in very dim light, using a 4-pound sledge and a drill steel, and they have to turn it each turn in between each hit. They didn't have the best of working conditions, and they had to make sure they had enough light to be able to get back out of the mine. And I look at what they did back then. It's far beyond what any of us do today. Far beyond. We've gotten pretty wimpy in our lifestyle. They made a lot of money. They made $4 a day. You figure a sergeant in the Army fighting the Apaches out here made about $15 a month. 12-hour days is what they worked. A 10-hour shift, 2 hours for the dust to settle. Then another crew would go in. There'd be 50 men. 20 of them would be doing the drilling. 20 of them would be doing the mucking. That's carrying 170 to 100-pound bags of ore on their back in a burlap bag up out of the mine. And if they slowed down, they were fired because there were 150 to 200 men on the surface waiting to take their place at any given time. They made good money, $100 a month on the average, but they also had very poor working conditions. The standard miner, just their meals, their lunch was about a 15-minute lunch break in a 10-hour shift. They usually took down a can of beans or a can of peaches. Well, here in Arizona, it gets so hot that lead that sealed those cans leached into the food. Those miners only lived to be 30 to 35 years old. They started a lot younger, too. Most of the miners started at about 14 years old. You were considered an adult back then. So, I mean, it's sort of hard to believe today. It was a rough life. Miners, when they weren't at work, were usually pretty exhausted. They would hit the saloons, get them a couple shots of whiskey, maybe find them a girl, or they would go home and relax, rest as much as they could. I tease people, think about, why would you be afraid of a gunfighter with a 6-gun when you've got an Irishman that's been down in the mine for 10 hours a day swinging a 4-pound sledge all day? They had to be pretty tough guys, pretty rock solid guys back in the day. The 2.5 years I spent underground building this thing, doing it a lot the way they did, starting off with a 4-pound sledge and a drill steel, and then I realized I'm an idiot. I got generators and power tools. So I started doing it that way. But doing it initially, I spent 3 months down there doing it the way they did and trying to stay the way they did. I took the food that I would imagine that they would take with them. And I'll tell you what, number one, I thought I was going to starve to death. Number two, I was sore. I was hurting. And one thing it did do was get me in really good shape. But I really didn't want to be in that good shape. It was tough life. It really is. I see history and real knowledge slipping away from us. And that's something that really disturbs me, because if you don't understand where your roots are, where you came from, we lose why we should even be serious about life itself. I want to take people back to the 1800s. I want them to see what it took to build, a silver dollar. We spend money like it's nothing, but what did it take to make that silver dollar? These men were down there, sweat and blood, slamming a 4-pound sledge all day long to get silver out of the ground just to make coinage, just to make sterling silverware so we could have our nice dinners. We don't think about where it came from, what it really took to get it. And back then, it was hard work. And that's not to say that what we do today isn't hard work, but it's a totally different form of hard work. It devastated their life. It took everything away. And then we expect everybody to supply us things when our life didn't go the way we think it should have gone. Well, these guys didn't have a choice. They did to a degree, but not if they wanted to get their families out here, not if they wanted to build America and build it to what it is today. We wouldn't have anything today if it wasn't for the mining.
Hey everybody, Joe Beaver here. We're promoting Hart Trailers. We're talking about the product. Let's just get into it. From the first weld to the last inspection, we as Hart have done all we can do to guarantee you've got the best trailer your money can buy. They pull good. I don't have any trouble with them. They are user friendly. I want you to know that if you have a doubt one, don't buy it because there's somebody else that's gonna buy it right behind you.
Big Boy Toys. DTE.
My name is Amberly Snyder. I am a barrel racer and motivational speaker. Hart put together a trailer that is extremely accessible to me, that makes it possible for me to have more independence with my horses. I mean, truly something that is life-changing for me. If I'm gonna load my horse in a trailer, if I'm gonna take my horse somewhere, if I'm gonna put my best friend in a situation, they deserve the best. That's why I pull a Hart trailer.
I've been in mine since I was about 5 years old. Okay, my grandfather put me in mine at 6 years old, and I believe that's where he got his beer money, for one thing. But I've been mining rocks and gold and turquoise in New Mexico mines. I've been underground or underwater 70% of my life, and I love being underground. It's so amazing the things you find, like in the Goodenough mine. We have rivers as deep as 7 miles below the surface. And when you have rivers like that, and it gets near magma, it can expand, and it causes fissures. Fissures are giant cracks in the earth. We have 76 fissures in this area, along with 3 dikes, or really 5 dikes, which is where metamorphic rock has penetrated sedimentary rock. And it creates incredible mineral deposits. And being underground, you never know what you're gonna find. We have 3 main mines here that we have access to. They're not 100 yards apart, and you would swear they were 3 different countries. They're so different inside each one. And the mining technique was so different in each one because of the difference of the people. A lot of the miners here were English and Irish. A lot of them were from Cornwall, England, where they've been mining for centuries. It's just incredible, the vast difference between the mines. And that's what I like taking people into and showing them the differences and showing them how we've progressed over the years. I mean, nowadays we have giant machines that can eat the earth, go down in, separate the minerals and separate it. This was all done by man. It's by hand. And it's fascinating to me. My belt buckle here, that turquoise came out of one of my mines. This belt buckle was made by my mother for me when I was 9 years old. That was the very first belt buckle she ever made. And I think about the silver in this belt buckle being mined out of this mine here. You know, the turquoise coming out of the ground and what they went through just to get that so that I could have a belt buckle. I mean, it's just amazing to me, you know. Men could have died just to get me that belt buckle. Who knows? You know, it's incredible what we have and what we take for granted today. What we take for granted today is really pathetic. It really is. The way I look at it. And that's why I came up with the dinner theater, to let people see what it was really like, let them hear what it was really like. I have a couple surprise places in this show where it brings out the true history of what happened in the 1800s that people don't think about. You know, the mines right here saved the United States. Don't think about that. The manganese that's taken out of the mine here, which was used for gunpowder. If it wasn't for the mines here, the stockpiles that they had of manganese and being able to reopen the mines here, the U.S. and its allies would have more than likely ran out of gunpowder before the end of World War I. I mean, who would have thought about that in Tombstone, Arizona? They came back here during World War II to get lead for bullets for World War II because we were running out of bullets. There's a lot of history here that this little town has that people have no clue. And that's what I want to bring to the surface, literally, to teach people. In all the years I've done the tours, I've had kids that have ended up going into geology that have invited me to their graduations because they got the idea of getting into geology just from going on the mine tour. That's incredible and touching for me. I hope they don't blame me for their careers if they don't like them, but it's good. But on the other hand, you know, people that go on the tours, when they come out, we express how important mining is, and when they come out, they start realizing, you can see them looking at their jewelry, you can see them looking at, you know, their vehicle when they come out and everything, realizing that all of this came from the earth below us. Most times when you go buy a car, you're not thinking about where it came from. You know, you're not thinking about when you buy that nice silk blouse that it came from worms, but the oils that processed all that came from the earth, came from mining. You know, we don't think about the things like that. And that's why I think that it's important that we have the mines like this and explain the geology, explain what the men went through to pull this out, because we take so much for granted today. I've had people that have been so dead set against mining and how it's destroying the earth and everything, and then when they come out of the mine, oh, mining is good. If it wasn't for Tombstone, most of this wouldn't have happened. What do we owe miners? We owe miners our lives. Think about it this way. I explain this to kids. If you didn't have mining, what would you have? Because it goes back to you live in a log cabin. Well, good luck on building that log cabin because that axe head was mined as well. When you get back to it, everything comes from mining. I love doing tours more than just about anything in the world for several reasons. One, I love it when there are kids on there. Kids ask the hardest questions. They make me go back and crack the books and study. You know, when we take them on a tour, it's just so much fun because you're taking people from all over the world. If you come to Tombstone, you're really missing the history if you don't start with the mines. The mines are what started everything. The mines is what changed most of the western United States. The mines here, the mines in Nevada. Mining is what changed our whole country. That's what put us on such a fast pace. That's what made the United States independent and rich, was the mining. And when you go in the mines here, we'll give you a true taste of what it was like to be a miner back in the day. And then if you do our dinner theater, you're gonna get literally a real taste of what it was like to be back in mining. But when you come to Tombstone, you do the mines, you go see the saloons, you see the different shows that they have here. All of this is what built America. This is what built the United States. When the people get down and we turn off the lights and let them see what they work with in the dark. You know, they mined in the dark with a 4-pound sledge and a drill still. You do it enough, you can do it in total darkness. And you don't know what total darkness is until it's dark down there. You can't see your hand in front of your face at all. I mean, it's incredible and it's fun. And when they realize this, their whole demeanor, their whole personality, everything you see just transform. And when they come out, they're excited about the mine. They're like, wow, we had no idea. And that's what we want to give them, is an experience of a lifetime. There's a whole different world below our feet that they have no idea what it is. And it's hard for them to comprehend unless you go down there and you actually see what it is. It is a whole different world. A world beyond your comprehension. It's beautiful.